welcome back for a brand new round of box office predictions. As always, kicking this off with our Fantasy Movie League recap. We had a ton of players in the Predictions with Perri League get that perfect lineup last weekend. 18 in total, and these are all of the names. Very, very impressive. Job well done to you all. I had a rough go in Fantasy Movie League last week, and I also took a risk in my regular ranking predictions that didn't really pay off. The risk in Fantasy Movie League that didn't work in my favor is how heavily I bet on Unbroken Path to Redemption. So that really wrecked my Fantasy Movie League lineup. And then I also made one bold prediction in my number rankings as well that didn't pan out. Peppermint didn't hold on as strong as I thought it might. But I pretty much nailed the Predator opening weekend number. That movie kicked off its run with $24.6 million. Then it was The Nun at number 2, which posted the highest weekend 2 drop of the Conjuring franchise ever, but still made another $18.2 million. A Simple Favor opened up at number 3 with an impressive $16 million. White Boy Rick kicked off its run at number 4 with $8.9 million. And then Peppermint came nowhere close to topping Crazy Rich Asians. It only made $6 million, whereas Crazy Rich Asians is still holding on strong, dropped just 34% for another $8.7 million. For my number 5 pick this weekend, I'm not going with newcomers, Assassination Nation, or even Life itself. Instead, I'm going with Michael Moore's new movie, Fahrenheit 11/9. Fahrenheit 9/11 opened huge. It made $23.9 million. I do not think that's going to be the case here, but if I take another Michael Moore movie, let's say Where to Invade Next, take that movie's roughly $3,000 per theater average, then apply that number to the theater count that Fahrenheit 11/9 is getting, which is about 1,700 theaters, we're looking at something like a $6 million start for this movie, and I think that might be good enough for number 5 this weekend. Now, though, for my number 4, that's actually where I have The Nun. We know that The Nun took an especially big hit last weekend, and while I do think that that number is going to level out a little, it's not going to level out enough to keep this movie in the top 3. So, of course, that big hit made it the biggest weekend 2% change for any Conjuring movie, and for that reason, I'm not looking at another Conjuring movie this weekend, but rather a Paranormal Activity movie. Paranormal Activity 3, to be specific. So that movie opened up with $52.6 million. Weekend 2, it dropped 65.5%. That kind of puts it right in line with The Nun. So weekend 3, Paranormal Activity dropped about 54%. So let's say I bring that percent change up to 55% for The Nun. We're looking at $8.2 million for The Nun this weekend. Now it's on to number 3, and I'm actually going to keep A Simple Favor in this spot. This movie had a really nice start last weekend, and in this case, I think good word of mouth could really help it out. I mean, I've heard a lot of that good word of mouth myself. That whole Mike and Dave need wedding dates comparison did work in my favor last weekend, but I'm ditching that one this time around. Instead, I'm going to look at another Blake Lively movie, one that also had good word of mouth, and that brings me to The Shallows. They had similar openings, and then weekend 2, The Shallows dropped 47.8%, but its weekend 2 is at the very beginning of July with a lot more competition. So I want to bring that percent change down for A Simple Favor, down to maybe 43%. And if that's the hit it winds up taking, it's still making another $9 million this weekend. Now moving over to my number 2 pick, I've got The Predator. This one's lucky it had such a big lead on A Simple Favor and also The Nun last weekend, because this time around, I suspect it's taken a really, really big hit. Looking at Predators, which came out in 2010, they both opened with similar amounts. Then, weekend 2, Predators saw a huge 71.7% hit. I don't think that The Predator is going to see that same number, mainly because Predators, when it opened up, it was in summer and it had a whole lot of competition. I think weekend 2, it was Inception and The Sorcerer's Apprentice that it was going up against. So I think that number is going to come down, but I definitely don't think that this movie is going to hold on to more than I guess 40% of its profits from opening weekend, which would mean I'm giving it a 60% drop, and that puts it at right about $10 million for its second weekend in theaters. Now it's my number one pick, and that's where I've got Eli Roth's new movie, The House with a Clock in Its Walls. The estimates on this one seem to be ranging from $18 million to $25 million, and I think I veer a little more towards the higher end of it. I do think Jack Black and Cate Blanchett are a huge draw, but the main reason that I think this movie might do pretty well this weekend is because we haven't had a family-friendly movie in quite some time, and I'm looking at another Jack Black family-friendly magical adventure, and I'm looking at Goosebumps, and that movie opened up with $23.6 million. I do think the Goosebumps brand awareness is much higher, but I still think this movie could come pretty close, so that's why I'm putting The House with a Clock in Its Walls opening up with about $22 million. Alrighty, it's recap time now. I have The House with a Clock in Its Walls topping the charts with $22 million. The Predator coming in at number 2 with $10 million. A Simple Favor staying in the number 3 spot with $9 million. Then The Nun coming in at number 4 with $8.2 million. And finally, Fahrenheit 11/9 closing out the top 5 with $6 million. There it is, guys. Those are my predictions. Of course, now I need yours. Hit that comment section below. Share your top 5 right there. And don't forget, go on over to Fantasy Movie League. Make your picks, sign up if you haven't already. The URL and the password are in the description section of this video. And now it is Patreon shoutout time. And this time I'm looking at a group of 3, and it's Kavi, Michael, and Ryan. These are 3 really special guys here. They've been with the Patreon campaign for so long now, and I really appreciate the continued support. I've spoken to some of them on GChat, others through the Patreon Messenger system, and they're just really great guys, and I really appreciate all 3 of you being here, so thank you. And thanks to everyone watching these box office prediction videos. I love doing them. Dewey loves doing them too, even though he peaced out a little while ago. So thanks for watching, like and share, and I'll see you next weekend for more box office predictions.